Everybody, this is let me get everything kind of pulled up. Welcome to your module overview video. And so probably each week that we're going to be meeting online, so our asynchronous meetings when we're not in our in-resident session, you're going to have one of these module over videos from me that's just going to kind of review the week that we did, or the content of the material that we did before, make any announcements or housekeeping things, and then give you a nice introduction to the module that you're going to be working on for the week. So today's Tuesday, which means you're going to start your next module. So here's the start of Module 2, where you're going to start to look at theories and definitions of giftedness. If you were absent in yesterday's in-resident session, do send me an email to confirm that you're going to be participating. Some of you are absent, but I haven't heard from you at all. So I need to know if it was like you were signed up and didn't know that you had the meeting. Hopefully you got some emails from me, but do send me an email to confirm that you're going to be participating, because your attendance in those in-resident session is mandatory. Go ahead and also, if you're absent, review the Module 1 presentation. That should be there in your email inbox, where you're going to look at slides, mostly slides 7, 8, and 9 for some of your tasks, as well as all the other content that we covered, so you can see what we talked about last night. Make sure you complete your contact information, your course, review the course syllabus, check out the Google Plus form where you're going to accept that invitation link on slide 7. The shadow experience document, whether you're an elementary school teacher, check out the elementary checklist. If you're a middle school or high school teacher, go ahead and check out the secondary checklist. Those of you who are middle school teachers, you may choose to complete the elementary school checklist once you notice the differences there. The course website link is on slide 8, so make sure, and I'm going to put it in this email, or the email that I send you, that way you bookmark that. Please set up your Google Drive folders. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment for some of you who were present last night, and then sign up for your special populations group presentation. That's on slide 22. You'll find the link for that. Those presentations are going to be in our next in-resident session, which is Module 5, and so you'll want to work with your group ahead of time. Module 4 is dedicated to your special populations work and reviewing all of that, but you're welcome to start to gather some of those resources or start to skim or read some of those as you move on. If you were present last night, I've linked the article to the 6 profiles of the types of gifted and talented learners. I know I read a lot of descriptions out loud and just showed you some tidbits of it, but if you want access to that document, go ahead and see slide 18 and it links you to that. All right, so for those of you who are here last night or with us last night, Google Drive folders, these are the people who I have access to. So you may have created your Google Drive folder but didn't share it with me, so I need you to share it with me. Share it with kateguthrie@gmail.com and make sure that you give me contributing rights or editing rights. I'm going to be dropping some documents in there to your folders. So if you see your name up there, I have yours. And Kiana, sorry, I noticed I spelled your last name incorrectly. So, but it's good in your folder. Don't worry about that. Make sure that you have your parent folder labeled last name and first name or first initial CCSD gifted. You're going to share that folder with me and then create your 4 subfolders: last, first, _1 characteristics, 2 assessment, 3 methods, and 4 programs. And just so you can see kind of what that looks like, here we go. Here's Kiana's. When I click on that, I see 4 nice folders that are really organized. So make sure you share that folder with me, because that's how I'm going to be accessing all of your assignments that you turn in, as well as communicating with you your grades. I'm going to be placing a grade sheet spreadsheet in your folder. It's going to say your last name, first name, _grades sheet, and that's how we're going to keep track of all of your progress throughout each of the 4 courses. It's just a Google spreadsheet. I'm actually going to hop back over to the browser and show you. Down here at the bottom, you're going to see little tabs for all of your courses. So Course 1, Course 2, Course 3, and Course 4. You are not going to have editing rights to this document because, you know, it's just what I got to do. So you'll be able to view it. Some of the notes might be some of my feedback or just a comment to you. So make sure you kind of check that. And you'll see as you progress the total points that you'll see kind of accumulate at the bottom. Each course has their different range of points in terms of how what level or threshold you reach proficiency at, which is what you need to pass this course to kind of reach your endorsement. Now, all of the items here in course 1 are good to go. That's exactly what they'll be, and I'm pretty sure course 2 is also good to go. I'm also like 90% sure that the assignments that you see in course 3 and course 4 are going to also stay the same. So I might edit this document later in the year if I feel like I'm changing the name of an assignment or that. But other than that, I don't foresee a whole lot of changes coming to this grade sheet. So that's one way that you can kind of keep up with your grades there. So that will be in your folder, probably like when I just grade your learners' traits, your next assignment that's due in Module 2, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And so your grade sheet isn't going to be in there right now, but as soon as I actually assess and look over that assignment that you submit, that's when I'll just input your grade sheet in there. I don't prefer all of the clicks that I take to get in and out of folders, but it's just kind of what's going to work. Remember that course 1 is reading intensive, and it's like sorry, not sorry. Like it's how you're going to establish the foundation for how you can be an effective teacher for your gifted students. I like to think like the methods and materials section. I know we all want to know like how can I increase rigor and how can I challenge my gifted students or challenge the students who are underachievers and all of that. Like there's no easy answer. There's no like, here, let me just give you this lesson plan and it will magically work. I mean, I wish there was. I mean, there's certainly some things that we found that works well in general, but as you know, like each student is different. And what I have found that the more you understand your student or your students, the better you are going to be able to advocate for what they actually need or to, adjust or adapt assignments or projects for them that's going to fit them. And so the reading that you do here in this course, in course 1, really consider it to be, probably like 85% of your like foundational material for what you're going to do in course 3, the methods and materials. Because again, like the more that you know your students and understand them and understand their needs, then you're going to be able to adapt that. And also just a disclaimer, if you weren't here last night, so my background is like in mostly high school math, a little bit of middle school math. And so some of you, we're just in different fields and you're going to be submitting lessons to me that's in, just a different subject area, a completely different grade level. I am not here to really like critique how you're teaching. Like I can't tell you how to adapt that 5th grade ELA lesson because I don't have that experience. And like, who am I to tell you what to do when you've been teaching this content for 10 years? But what I am going to try and do is just challenge you to hopefully like help facilitate you or be like a resource for you to help you find ways to serve those students in your classroom. But again, it is that idea of there really is no like magic thing that we can just do to serve them, or at least it's not going to come from me. So I don't have all the answers, but I'm here to help you, to guide you, and to help maybe give some insight into the child, and then you can apply some of that insight to how you're going to adapt your content material. But please make sure you read, take notes if you need to, bookmark things. Remember that your final exam at the end of the course is open book. So you may want to make sure that you understand where things are in your book so it doesn't take a whole lot of time when you have your open book final exam, as we know how those can be. So for this upcoming week for Module 2, you've got 2 primary readings. That's Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of your Davis and Rim textbook. Now on the website, which I'll go to in just a second, I'll show you where they're linked. There's a PDF there in case you don't have your book yet. An optional chapter for secondary, middle school, and high school teachers to skim or to read is provided there because it's primarily about conceptions of giftedness and adolescence. The Davis and Rim textbook is great, but it doesn't particularly hone in on some of the differences. It kind of just lumps gifted kids in general like into one kind of category sometimes, it feels like when you read it. So I do want to make sure that we start to distinguish. It's kids are different when they're in elementary school versus when they're in middle school or high school. The things you need to do is you need to complete your learners' traits, learners' needs, and teacher responses assignment. And I'll show you that. Locate your textbook and start thinking about who you want your shadow experience mentor to be. So from there, I'm going to hop over to the website. So this is your view of the website. The home page is the home page. But then for course 1, we are, let me move my face. Module 1 just has all the links to all your texts if you want to order them all at the same time. So here's your Module 2. These are the links to your Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of your Davis and Room textbook. If you click on this link for your learner's traits and learner's needs, it's going to send you to this document. Just really briefly, you're going to have some vignettes to read. There are 2 vignettes of students who are in like middle school or high school, and then underneath there are 2 vignettes for elementary teachers, Christopher and Tara, and they are elementary school students. And so read both of the vignettes for your grade level, and then you're going to proceed to part 2 of the assignment. Now, when you proceed to part 2 of the assignment, this is the document that, see up top, please make a copy of this document, label it last first, _learner's traits, and place it in your characteristics folder. So go ahead and make a copy from there, rename it as you need to rename it, but you're going to pick one of those students in those vignettes to kind of discuss or dive deeper. So you're going to start to list some of the traits of that learner. Like, let's say I'm choosing Michelle. I'm going to list some learner traits that I gained from reading that vignette of Michelle. I'm going to start to decide and brainstorm what I think she needs based on that trait that she has, and then give an example of an appropriate teacher response. So there is an example here. So an example of a learner trait is the student shows great curiosity about material presented in class. Their need might be that the student needs to know the hows and whys that surround the ideas that are studied. An appropriate teacher response may be start to pose what-if questions to student in discussion, give open-ended assignments to the student. So this isn't a novel. You're just starting to make some connections of how can I match these traits with these needs. And so some of your reading in Chapters 1 and Chapter 2 of your Davis and Room textbook is going to start to give you some insight to that. I think even Chapter 1 is titled Matching the Needs of Gifted Learners or something. So I try to, on these assignments, give you kind of like a guideline that you want to at least list at least 4 traits and 4 needs and 4 responses, and make sure that the need is going with the trait and the response is also going with the trait, so you read it horizontally. And it may be that this table is about approximately 1 to 2 pages. So depending on all of my ELA teachers are really lovely writers, and they just write beautifully and can just magically produce paragraphs. And then the science and math teachers were a little bit more trite, or not trite, but just shorter in nature. So any way that you choose to respond is good. Just make sure it's not, make sure that whatever you are submitting to me reflects your professionalism as a teacher. So you don't have to write me 5 pages, but do show me that you're putting some effort and starting to make connections as to what you're learning. So just that table, it might be 1 or 2 pages, will be submitted to your folder. So that is your assignment. That is due Monday at midnight. So all of your assignments are going to be due on Mondays, because that's when like each module ends, so to say. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. Other than that, don't forget to start to gather documents for your special population presentation, modules 2 and 3. 4 is when you're going to start to really study, read, and work on your presentation, and in module 5 is when you'll present when we are in class. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Again, if you were absent, make sure that you take care of all of the housekeeping things that we covered yesterday, and I will see you guys online soon.